Good morning, afternoon, evening. Thank you for joining the last main stage event of what has been a phenomenal UN 2.0 week. I'm very pleased to finish off strongly with this illustrious panel. We have Undersecretary General for Policy, Guy Ryder, who will give us welcoming remarks. Then we have Deputy Vice Minister, Ministry of Management and Innovation in Public Services, Brazil, Adalto Modesto, Ms. Hajar Ibrahim Algosair, General Supervisor for Assistant Deputyship for Sustainable Development Affairs, Minister of Economy and Planning in Saudi Arabia, Dirk Meyer, Director General, Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, Germany, Undersecretary General Duarte, who is the Special Advisor on Africa at the United Nations. Unfortunately, Ambassador Joyny had some unforeseen last-minute scheduling conflict, so she's not able to join us. But that means we have more time for Q&A, so please drop questions in a chat. Without any further ado, over to USD Ryder for welcoming remarks.
Well, thank you very much, Ayaka, and greetings to all participants in this important session on the all-important question of what member states expect of UN 2.0 as we go forward. Ayaka has already pointed out that this session is in a sense the culmination of our UN 2.0 week. Just to say that the week has brought together some 15,000 participants. We've had insights from some 60 speakers, and it's a great example of the UN system coming together, thinking together, and hopefully moving forward as one in bringing UN 2.0 capacities together to tackle the multiple challenges of the 21st century. Now, during the week, we've heard a recurring message. I have to say it's not the first time we've heard the message, but it's been delivered with particular force that everything that we should be doing on UN 2.0 has to be done hand in hand with our member states. Hence the importance of today's session, because the underlying message here is that the whole point of UN 2.0 is to increase UN capacities to deliver services and support to our member states on the issues that are important to them. This is about delivering the 2030 agenda through these increased UN 2.0 capacities in the fields, as you know, of data, of digital, of innovation, behavioural science, and of strategic foresight, the so-called quintet of change. So it's really with great appreciation that I want to welcome our distinguished panelists today. We will be listening extremely carefully to what they have to say, I repeat, about the expectations that they have of UN 2.0. And it's important for all of the colleagues listening in on this session. I understand that some 3,500 people have registered for this session, that we listen very carefully and take the advice and the guidance that our panelists are able to give us this morning. And I will be listening, of course, very attentively to what is to be said. So with warm thanks to all participants, Ayaka, I'll hand it back to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much. Now let's turn to Deputy Minister Modesto. How can the new capabilities in data, innovation, digital, foresight, and behavioral science, what we call the quintet of change, as outlined by USG Ryder, help accelerate the progress in sustainable development goals? And why do you consider this to be important for Brazil?
So good morning, Mrs. Suzuki. Good morning, my fellow panelists and everybody who are following us today. Thank you for this warm welcome today. It's a great honor to represent the Brazilian government and discuss these transformative initiatives we've undertaken under President Lula's leadership. First of all, we in Brazil, we strongly advocate for our government's investment in comprehensive integration of new areas of expertise and domains into our national programming. In essence, we think that we must translate these ideas into tangible actions on the ground. Building state capabilities aligned with transformative change that are necessary to accelerate progress toward the SDGs is paramount. And this vision prompted by President Lula to establish the Ministry of Management and Innovation in Public Services, where I'm serving this period. So the ministry's purpose is to bolster government's ability to deliver superior services to our citizens, steering Brazil towards sustainable and inclusive development. Our efforts focus on enhancing capacities within both federal government and local governments, including states and municipalities. And let me illustrate these goals and missions with a few concrete examples from the ground. First, we've been designing and implementing robust and flexible digital public infrastructures that serve as enablers for key public policies. One of my favorites is the unified registry, which we call here in Brazil, CADE Único. This unified registry maintains data from 90 million families and facilitates monthly payments through Brazil's cash transfer program known as Bolsa Família. Additionally, we've developed gov.br, which is the Brazilian digital hub that offers more than 4,000 digital public services within a unique login and password. The platform centralizes services, it prioritizes usability and security, and also enhances citizen-government interaction. Now we have around 158 million individual accounts registered there, where people can find those services and take advantage of a more effective relationship with the state. In the second part of our strategy, we've been working to foster collaboration within all bodies from the federal public administration to address structural inequality, implement inclusive policies and programs that are aiming to promote equality and combating discrimination in public services. Initiatives include increasing representation of women, Black people, minorities, and other underrepresented groups in leadership roles within public sector. And in order to do that, we've been collaborating with our National School of Public Administration to conduct specialized courses covering crucial themes in public sector transformation in Brazil. So all those initiatives, they are combined in a national management and innovation program, which highlights President Lula's dedication to foster local government capacity and advance the SDGs. Work on the ground close to municipal and state level institutions are crucial here. And after presenting these examples, I just want to revisit the initial question and conclude these initial remarks with a final thought. I think that despite all this progress that we made through the Ministry of Management, but also in collaboration with other state agencies, I think there remains a lot of room for growth and collaboration with other partners in this journey. So this is where the G20 plays a pivotal role, providing a platform for such collaboration. For instance, within the G20 Sherpa track, we've established working groups in digital economy, research and innovation, culture, and women's empowerment. And we anticipate a stronger support for international organizations in these areas, of course, including all the UN systems. And I hope to work more on these issues in my second contribution here. And I hope we have a nice discussion with the other panelists. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A lot of food for thought. With that, let us turn to Dirk. What are your thoughts on what we just heard from Adalto? You've already championed these change across all levels in Germany, so we'd love to hear reflections from your experience.
Yes, hello Ayaka, hello Guy, great to see you, my dear colleagues. Already great to hear the voice from Brazil. Thank you very much for having me today. I'm excited to share our perspective on the ambitious UN 2.0 initiative, essentially to future-proof the UN development system. So how do we see the process? UN 2.0 represents a shift in thinking about the future of development cooperation, making data, making innovation, making digital solutions, foresight, and behavioral science integral to our work to achieve the Agenda 2030 and go beyond. UN 2.0 has perfect timing and is using the right momentum, thinking about renewing multilateral governance structures at this year's Summit of the Future, a key piece also, of course, in our mind, in creating these new structures. And as you know, we are taking part also as a facilitator for that summit. So we are sure that enhancing UN's capabilities in data, innovation, and digital technologies, UN 2.0 enables accurate, timely, and accessible information, predicting developmental challenges, and all that responding with precision. We do think that data innovation, innovation capacities, and digital skills are fundamental to modernization within the UN system and, of course, worldwide. These 21st century tools are essential for negotiation, for transparency, and for inclusion. We command that UN 2.0 seeks to utilize the Global Digital Compact to strengthen international digital cooperation. And like UN 2.0, we view that data innovation not as an end in itself, but as a means to achieve the SDGs. It's like my colleague just said, an enabler, it's a tool, and that's the importance of it. We use data innovation to reduce hunger and poverty, to promote a just transition, and to fight inequalities. Regardless what sector we have, data are the basis for any kind of good progress in the SDGs. This way we strive for a social, ecological, and to stress that feminist digital transformation. Using AI can be next step in data innovation towards realizing the 2030 agenda. I must add, of course, that it always needs the right framework to address the goals in the end. So UN 2.0 should take a forward-thinking approach on AI because AI is a fundamental pillar for future effectiveness. And when we come to behavior science and strategic foresight, they are absolutely gaining importance, giving increased uncertainty and ever-changing circumstances. We welcome the introduction of a strategic foresight into the work of the UN. It enables the UN to better recognize, to better understand and respond to global trends and challenges, making it fit for future and fit for purpose. It is mandatory for federal government of Germany and thereby for my minister, the BMZ, to actively use strategic foresight to prepare for future scenarios and co-create shared analysis of trends, thereby allowing anticipatory governance. We applaud that UN 2.0 sees gender equality as an integral part of this shift. It's part of one of the focus points of Minister Schulze. It must make sure that the quintet of change includes the advancement of gender equality as a cross-cutting issue in all areas. We encourage the system to conduct thorough analysis of existing capabilities. This helps member states, that was your guiding questions, understand where more support is needed and how existing capacities can be best used. We are committed to supporting a transformation that not only meets current needs, but also anticipates future challenges. This commitment aims to secure the UN's role as a meaningful force in development cooperation, and that is IACA part of BMZ's and German federal government's DNA, and in that we really very much support this approach. Thank you by that.
Thank you. I fully agree that UN 2.0 is a means to help achieve SDGs. We always say it's not for its own sake, but a means to an end. Let's turn back to Adalto. You already mentioned G20 presidency in your previous remarks, but we want to hear more. Could you elaborate a bit further about Brazil's presidency of G20 and your further thoughts on how the multilateral system can better support SDGs?
Great. Thank you once again, Daka. I completely agree with Dirk's perspective. And I think that without pursuing new expertise through international collaboration and cooperation, we are deeply risking stagnating our progress and actually falling behind in the agenda, right? So I think that on a broader scale, that implies that numerous countries may be left behind and lacking the capacity to make additional strides towards the SDG goals. We faced that in Brazil over the last few years and struggling to overcome that. So, and that's why I think it's important, and I thank you for that, to discuss our country's priorities as announced by President Lula for its G20 presidency. These priorities, they encompass basically combating hunger, poverty, and inequality alongside with reforming international governance. And these areas are inherently interconnected with the SDGs, and they provide strategic roadmap towards achieving global equity, environmental stewardship, and prosperous economies. We firmly believe that fostering international collaboration is key to the G20 agenda. And sharing best practice, resources, innovations across borders, they all can accelerate the pace of transformation and sustainability as we need, and correctly pointed by the Secretary General. Through learning from each other's successes and setbacks, we can implement more effective and culturally adaptable strategies. And our minister's role in these discussions will basically be centered on promoting dialogues that transcend traditional governance paradigms, especially in digital government transformation. First, we want to share our experiences regarding citizen identification. We've been introducing a new national identity card that is equipped with digital identity capabilities, and that holds a potential to basically revolutionize public services delivered through life cycle and user-centric approach. And we want to share this with other countries and also hear from other experiences coming especially from developing worlds that are heading the same direction. In the second place, we think that ensuring data interoperability, and sharing among public agencies is essential for enhancing public policy formulation and evaluation. It's very, very important when it comes to government coordination to facilitate data exchange across government bodies, ensuring comprehensive and relevant data that are readily available for decision makers. This integration supports an informed and effective policy development process, which of course enables precise targeting and efficient resource allocation. Additionally, it also enables continuous monitoring and assessment of policy impacts, promoting transparency and accountability in public administration. In third place, sustainable transformation efforts must be also community-driven. That entails ongoing dialogue with community leaders, continuous training programs, and adapting initiatives based on feedbacks and evolving needs. Sustainability also involves anticipating emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, that it was also correctly pointed by Dirk in his speech, and the Internet of Things, understanding their societal implications and preparing our populations through education and opportunities. In conclusion, I think it's important to remember that all this journey towards sustainable development is challenging, but is also worthwhile. It will demand from all of us dedication, collaboration, and bold actions. With unwavering commitment and determination, we can overcome these obstacles and build a future where every Brazilian and every other citizens from all over the world can thrive. With that, I conclude here and hope to have a chance to clarify other issues in the Q&A session. Come back to you, and thank you very much, Mrs. Suzuki.
Such great points, really resonate. Now I'm going to turn over to Ms. Algo-Sayer. We would love to hear from you about what the lessons learned are in how such transformations can be achieved. Based on the experience of Saudi Arabia, where we're witnessing in front of our eyes these tremendous digital transformations, innovations, it's very clear that there's a lot to learn from your experience. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ayaka. It's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are in the world. And greetings from Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, where so many things are happening, as you just said. It is both this discussion as a representative of Saudi Arabia, a nation committed to transformative growth and sustainable development. I am also pleased that I'm able to talk about this topic, which is so dear to my heart, and it is of importance in today's context. The role of data, digital technologies, and innovation in achieving sustainable development. All these elements are key components of Saudi Arabia's vision. It is an interesting coincidence that I am going to talk about transformation and digital technology and all of these things. And yesterday just marked the 8th year since the launch of Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, which is, as you said, the transformative social, economic blueprint with 87 or more than 87% of its initiatives deemed completed or on track so far. So our ambitious in Vision 2030 is a roadmap for a diversified and prosperous future with a strong emphasis on enhancing the government effectiveness. It is with this spirit, the innovation and efficiency, that we approach the concept of UN 2.0. Generally speaking, before zooming in the Saudi experience, as we live now in a hyper-connected and fast-changing world, where digital transformation has become not just a possibility, but a key part of everyday life, the recent leaps in AI serves as a stark reminder of the ever increasing pace of progress and innovation in data analytics. So, and also in digitalization. So whatever we think it's new 2 years ago might be already outdated by now. However, innovation and digitization do not materialize by themselves. So realizing a data-driven and innovative economy and the nation requires multi-sided approach. So it hinges on, let's say, strong, clear, visionary leadership, well-crafted strategies, regulatory framework, conducive to digital achievements, to investments, to development of supportive technological infrastructure. And this is what we're doing right now in Saudi. So at the heart of our Vision 2030 lies the recognition of innovation and digital transformation. So just yesterday, Research Development and Innovation Authority in Saudi Arabia published a report about innovation in modern technologies, where it tackles the strides we're taking in transforming our societies through technology and innovation in many areas, name it, medicine, environment, energy, and so on. We view innovation and digital transformation as a key enabler of the vision. We are fortunate to have a young and tech-savvy population. More than 65% of our population are under age of 30. That provides a raw talent necessary to drive this change. So our knowledgeable youth ready to contribute to this space and shape the future that we're building right now. So to reach where we wanted to reach, or we aim to reach, we have launched multiple initiatives across sectors aimed at making our country one of the most technological advanced in the world. We're investing heavily in building innovation ecosystem to bring digital transformation into our operation. with a goal of fostering culture of innovation. So let's give you an example, two examples, main examples that comes to my mind. We have established a world-class institution such as King Abdullah University of Science and Technology. We call it KAUST, which is a research university that provides an advanced facilities and equipment to researchers and entrepreneurs from all around the world. KAUST has already made significant contribution to the growth of our local technology sector by attracting top talent and fostering innovation. So for instance, there is a startup that is KAUST is nurturing. It's called Red Sea Farms. This startup focuses on sustainable agriculture using sea salt to grow crops, significantly reducing freshwater consumption. And I do invite you all to check what KAUST is doing when it comes to innovation and technology. But generally speaking, in the educational reforms, we have embraced digital distance learning, enhancing accessibility and flexibility across the kingdom. The Saudi model of distant education and e-learning has received international recognition, with the UNESCO acknowledging the National Center of E-Learning as a global example in quality control and assurance mechanism. The second example is the establishment of the Saudi Data and AI Authority. We call it SDGs, which underscores our commitment to become a global leader in responsible AI. SDGs has been working to deploy innovative data and AI solutions, defining strategies for integrating data and AI into key domains. Two examples that I have in mind what SDGs is doing. First, in the health sector. So SDGs launched an app that we called Tawakkalna, which was developed to manage and mitigate the spread of COVID-19. It provides a real data on infection rates and allows users to report their health status, effectively using data to guide public health response. The second one is when we think about the data accessibility, actually. It's a little bit of a big problem somewhere else. SDGs has also launched a National Data Management Office to establish foundational national data and AI regulation. So this office initiated a National Data Bank project, which serves as a centralized repository for government data, facilitating access and sharing among various government entities. This, of course, helps in ensuring the decision makers, so they have a timely and accurate data. This national bank connected to more than 200 key government systems to National Insight platform. This platform supports data-driven decision-making and planning. Only last year, I think 2023, more than 85 government entities benefited from this service. With all of this being said, I would like to conclude with the fact that the results of this commitment and investment in innovation are very clear. In the Global Innovation Index, which ranks the world economies according to their innovation capabilities, Saudi Arabia jumped from 66th place in 2020 to 48th in 23, and I think the journey is just started with us.
Thank you. Impressive lessons to be drawn. I heard from you, but also from Deputy Minister Modesta earlier, that there are huge potential benefits for public service and so many use cases of digital and innovation. So I think that's really important to keep those in mind. Now let's turn to USC Dorothy. You're the Special Advisor for Africa, but you are also a senior official, a minister in your own home country. So we would love to hear, how can the UN further enhance and operationalize UN 2.0? Not for its own sake, but to add value to the work that we do on the ground where it matters. And how can the UN add benefit and support to the countries where we operate? Over to you.
Thank you, Ayaka. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And thank you for inviting me to be part of this exciting conversation. UN 2.0 and Africa. Africa's development challenges. I need to go back a little bit to the SDGs. So first, Ayaka, I would like to tell you that when we read UN 2.0, I strongly believe that development is indeed at its heart. It became very clear and became very strong. Why I say so? We all know that the conceptual framework of the Sustainable Development Goals is a break from traditional development thinking to a new one. Not only because, as everybody knows, puts together in an integrated way the economic, the social, and environment dimension, we all know that, but I strongly believe that the Sustainable Development Goals, despite being an integrated framework, it calls for collaboration, not competition. Then comes the Secretary General's reform package, exactly to support this transition, Ayaka, to support the transition from traditional development thinking to the new one. And allow me, Ayaka, to say that UN 2.0 is the cherry in the cake in terms of preserving, not to say increasing, UN system's relevance when African member states, as everybody knows, when African member states have increased dramatically their need for a stronger multilateral system with a stronger focus on development. So the question at this stage, so we have Sustainable Development Goals, a conceptual framework that wants to break the traditional development thinking. Then comes the Secretary General's package to unleash that. The question is, what is the value proposition of UN 2.0 to African member states? I do believe this is, if we squeeze the lemon, this is the question. And I strongly believe that UN 2.0 is the set of tools that allows the UN system to unleash its more important intangible assets. UN system has 4 critical intangible assets. First, data. Second, knowledge. Third, a global, continental, regional, local footprint. And fourth, trust. These intangible assets are our essentially tools to support African member states. The question comes, how can these intangible assets, again, data, knowledge, footprint, and trust, how can these intangible assets be leveraged to achieve sustainable development and durable peace in Africa? And the UN 2.0 can play a catalyzer role. Why? We know that Africa has natural resources, everybody knows. You think about one, Africa has. Africa has also financial resources. Please allow me to provide a reference of the Secretary General reports on NEPAD's Development Challenge of 2023. It's clear in that report, on the Secretary General report, that Africa has also financial resources, human capital. More than 65% of the young population in the world is in Africa. So what is missing? If Africa has natural, financial, human capital, how Africa has been unable to deliver sustainable development in a permanent way. So I do believe that the 2.0 has the potential exactly to make a connection between Africa's natural, economic, and financial potential on the demand side, and UN system to get ready, I would say, in the supply side, because everybody knows that resources are not the missing piece in Africa. is not resources. Resources Africa has. So we need to understand what is the missing piece. So we have the demand side and the supply side. And the 2.0 has exactly this dimension to connect the demand and the supply side. This is the reason that I strongly believe that Secretary General's reform, particularly UN 2.0, will place the UN system from an African standpoint as the preferred partner, where Africa will be able or to help Africa to unleash, to grab its own potential. This is the reason that the Secretary General Ayaka calls on a permanent basis to break business as usual. To break business as usual, what we need? We need database planning, UN 2.0. We need strategic foresight. We believe that Africa has resources. The missing piece are these dimensions: is data, innovation, foresight thinking to increase the quality of policy making in Africa. Let's look at the UN side. UN 2.0 is making the system to be ready to connect the demand and the supply side. So African leadership is getting ready to embrace these intangible assets and reset the policy mix. And I believe that we, as UN system, we are also ready to support them. And UN 2.0, I believe, will be the catalyzer. Back to you, Ayaka.
Thank you. Inspiring to hear from you as always. Key phrases to take away: connecting, catalyzing, unleashing potential. And we can go on. But let's first go back to Ms. Algosair. You already talked about how Saudi Arabia has moved up on the Global Innovation Index from some 60 place to 48th. Congratulations, but we're not surprised. From this success, what would you recommend to other countries that may be just starting their transformation journeys?
Yeah. Well, I think, and I believe that each country has its own story, which sometimes it works in one country, does not necessarily work in another. So we should be aware a little bit of our unique nature. But generally speaking, for countries at the beginning stages of their digital transformation journey, I believe a structured and a holistic approach is very crucial to ensure successful outcome. Some of the recommendations that comes to my mind will evolve around establishing clear goals and objectives, and this is what helps us a lot in Saudi. So defining what digital transformation means to this country, setting clear and achievable goals, of course. Developing a comprehensive strategy, so creating a national digital strategy that is actionable, which outlines how technology will be used to achieve these goals. Third thing, it can be investing in the infrastructure, which is actually the backbone of any successful transformation. Fostering the legal and regulatory framework, so developing the data protection laws, privacy laws, cybersecurity regulation to protect citizens and businesses in digital age. So also, of course, promoting a digital literacy and skills training, so enhancing the human capital. Digital skills is very, very important through education, training, upskilling and reskilling programs. Let's say also about encouraging the partnership between the public and private sector collaboration. This facilitation of partnerships between government and private sector to leverage the strength of both of them. And lastly, that we all make mistakes. So let's embrace them and turn them into learning opportunities, implementing more of adaptive learning practices, encouraging transparent reporting and analysis of failures, and just enjoy the journey. That's what I would say.
Thank you. I'm going back to USC Duarte. What would be your advice to you and colleagues watching this session? Many of us are starting our own journeys. For example, we're sitting on huge amounts of data, but not able to leverage it enough. You mentioned that as part of your own journey, upgrading skill sets was very important. So what would country teams with UN 2.0 skills look like? And how does that help with better supporting member states? I think our colleagues would love to hear your advice on this.
Thank you, Ayaka. As any reform, basically reforms are define a journey and an ending point. So when implementing the reform, you need to manage a transition process, which means you need to manage gaps. As we speak, I strongly believe that the Secretary General's reform package and the skills profile of UN's departments and agencies and and funds, and the skills profiles of UN's workforce, there is a gap. But it's normal because the reforms are a vision. Reforms tells you where you want to be in a couple of years. And now we are already in this building process. So UN is already in the move. There are a couple of issues in our business model that we need to tackle as soon as possible, because the world outside Ayaka is moving at a faster pace. The geopolitical tectonic plates are moving very fast, and UN system needs to be agile, to be ready to continue supporting member states to preserve its relevance, particularly in a moment where you are in transition. So we need to be very careful not to lose our seat. Then remember that game that we play when we were children, 8 chairs, 9 people, music. When the music stops, you better get your chair. You are in this moment. So UN system needs to be ready when the music stops, we have a chair. So to keep relevance. In the case, as far as Africa is concerned, Ayaka, we are already in the move. I strongly believe. And UN system has been is already supporting Africa in its digital transformation journey. And I would like to give you 2 examples. One is Malawi. So with the support of UNDP, Malawi has invested on DPI, so on the digital public infrastructure, and is approaching not as a sum of applications or some of, let's say, softwares, but in a very integrated and strategic way. So in the case of Malawi, the digital public infrastructure approach the purpose is to leverage digital systems to interconnect the registration and legal ITT service in Malawi, which is critical. This is the basis. If you don't have that, you don't have nation. If you don't have that, you don't have state. So it's basic. And Malawi, the support of UNDP is already doing that. And the benefits, the impact out of this process in Malawi is not only, of course, contributing to upholding the rights of citizens by ensuring that everyone has a recognized legal identity, but it's also generating savings. And a costing exercise has put a quite striking number on the table, $67 million a year in social expenditures, thanks to the interoperability of the system. Can you imagine? And Africa faces a public efficiency spending. I don't know if you know, Ayaka and my colleagues in this conversation, Africa faces inefficient public spending in the amount of $70 billion annually. So the UN 2.0, approaching in a strategic way, integrating digital public infrastructure as an important component, can help African policymakers tackling $70 billion a year. Let's put this in perspective, Ayaka. Africa needs $76 billion to transform its own food systems. Just to put in perspective. A second example is the UNCTAD Azikuda. So UNCTAD Azikuda is an application, a software that if landed in a country that has put up front as a priority digital public infrastructure, can help that country public spending. So you can see the potential of UN 2.0 supporting African countries in controlling better the financial flows and consequently the economic flows. So the potential is huge, Ayaka. The potential is huge. Back to you.
Thank you so much for sharing these insights. They're very pertinent. One important point resonates nicely with a question that I wanted to bring up from the chat from Ms. Algosair. There are a lot of interest in AI from our viewers, and one participant wanted to hear more about recent investments that Saudi Arabia has done in AI and how Ms. Algosair sees them shaping out. And afterwards, I want to give the last word to all our panelists and share any additional points that you might want to make to our audience. So if you could keep your response short to the question of AI investment, Ms. Algosair.
Right, I just answered the question, but at the same time, I give an example of King Abdulaziz University and Oxford University. They created a center for intelligence, artificial intelligence and precision making, or they call it the Precision Medicine Center, that was established in the aim of accelerating the drug discovery by using AI technologies. This is one of them in the health sector. Another one is for the smart cities as a part of NEOM project and other smart city initiatives. Saudi Arabia has incorporating AI technology to create the sustainable and efficient urban environments, AI driven for smarter energy management, waste disposal, and public safety, of course. So one of the ways to benefit from this is, as we said before, it's the partnership between the private and the public sector, and that's what happened with the partnership of the tech giants with Saudi Arabia. So Saudi has formed the partnerships with leading technology companies such as IBM and Google and Alibaba to collaborate on all of these AI projects and initiatives. And these partnerships often evolve, as all of my panelists said here, knowledge sharing, skills development, and implementation of the solutions in various industries, not just one industry, and a focus will be only in one industry. That's what comes in my mind for that investment.
Right. Thanks so much. With the remaining 7 minutes, I would like to turn back to all the panelists. If you could share with us your concluding thoughts as to how UN 2.0 could make the UN a better partner for you. So we'll start with Deputy Minister Modesto, then Dirk, then Ms. Algosair, and concluding with USG Duarte.
Thanks again, Mrs. Suzuki. I just want to build on Mrs. Duarte, very inspirational word, and say that in the end of the day, what we actually need is to transform resources, technologies into state abilities to make the kind of transformation that we need to achieve the SDGs. And in this sense, I think that UN 2.0 has a very important role in being a platform that enables member countries to interconnect, to share experiences and learn from each other. And in this sense, I think that Mrs. Algosair point that we need to learn from our mistakes and also be able to adapt is very important. And also, I think that UN 2.0 can be a repository of good practices and experiences which member countries can benefit from assessing and learning from each other. So once again, I just want to finish with that and thank you everybody for the opportunity. Say that Brazil is fully committed with the initiatives and we are aiming to keep working together with all of you in the same direction. Thank you very much.
So I carry on, Ayaka. So also very quick. My learning also from that session and the basis for UN 2.0 is, first of all, realizing that the goals are the driving force. The means are the means. They are going to enable things, but the goals are the goals, and they have to drive all our also political management. In that, secondly, we have learned, and we do see that, especially with the new technologies, we are shifting away from a traditional way of thinking. Somebody stressed that, to a new way of thinking. In that, we do see that our systems are not yet totally used to that. They very often incentivize a traditional way of thinking. And therefore, I like very much what Hajar said, that it is about adaptive learning and it is about adaptive management. And in that, I think the Summit of the Future, the UN 2.0, the whole common agenda, everything is great to have. We do need, for this adaptive kind of management and learning, the new technologies, the new foresights, everything we were talking about today. They are a very strong supporter in that. Over.
Thank you for you, both of you. It's amazing. I just share everything that you said, guys, but I'll just add that maybe Saudi envisions the UN 2.0 as a more effective UN that's focused on measurable outcomes and results, more inclusive representation in the UK and the UN. What I mean by that is facilitating more effective and innovative knowledge exchange between stakeholders, especially as it relates to South-South collaboration. UN 2.0 may leverage big data, AI to identify best practices. We learn from each other. It's a great platform to exchange not only knowledge, lessons, and also our tricks and tips to becoming a better leader in this world. Thank you so much.
I think it's my turn. I would like to take the opportunity that I'm having this exciting conversation with African partners. I have German, I have Brazil, Saudi Arabia. All are African partners. And allow me, Ayaka, to address the last words to African partners in this conversation. Allow me to ask for your understanding that Africa faces, from a technological, digital standpoint, Africa faces a digital duality, a digital divide that puts Africa in a duality situation. What I mean by that, Africa maybe is the only continent, the only region in the world that at the same time needs to address past challenges that have not been addressed, basic education, universal health, you name it. But at the same time, African policymakers are called to deliver on the 21st century. Big data, artificial intelligence. So African policymakers, they need to have the intellectual agility to put into motion these two work streams, addressing past challenges that have not been addressed, for example, through the Millennium Development Goals, but at the same time, delivering or addressing or tackling, let's say, today's and future challenges. Why I say so? Because this puts Africa in a situation when designing its digital transformation policy needs, Africa needs to do it by having an ecosystem mindset and not to be transformed, and I'll be very open, in a market of hardware and software. We need to be very careful. So it will be critical to understand that Africa needs support and help to put in place strong and well-designed digital public infrastructures so that countries are ready with their own DPIs to receive not only data assets, but also to receive data exchange mechanisms. So at the backstage, they can talk each other and produce value for the money. So please support Africa in approaching its digital transformation path as an ecosystem beyond a market where data sets and data exchange mechanisms should land in a well-designed DPI, digital public infrastructure. This is my ask to African partners in this conversation. And back to you, Aya.
Great. If I could also note, the proposed Global Digital Compact also addresses exactly those points made and is part of our common agenda follow-up and the Summit of the Future package. And stay tuned on that. Well, thank you to all the panelists. It's been such an exciting conversation this past hour, and I wish we had more time to hear from you. What really came across strong commonalities across all settings, as well as shared challenges. My key takeaways include having this platform for knowledge sharing and learning from each other, and adaptive learning, adaptive management, especially important given how fast things are changing. I remember one senior management group meeting on emerging technologies, and Christina, I don't remember if you were there, a CEO of a major tech company told us, change will never be as slow as it is today. So really need to buckle up. Things are going to accelerate. We need to adapt with changing times. Once again, I would like to express my appreciation for taking the time and sharing your perspectives and lessons learned with us. We had over 350 participants in this session live, and many more will tune in to the recording afterwards. So your insights will reach many UN colleagues. Many thanks for that. The UN 2.0 week may end today, but there are many, many more initiatives ongoing. We hope to continue these conversations through other fora and leading up to the Summit of the Future in September. With that, thank you everybody for listening in, and have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.